All right, now to some developing news out of the Middle East. We're learning 70-year-old Israeli-American citizen Judith Weinstein is dead and her body is being held in Gaza. Officials in Israel say that she was murdered during the October 7th Hamas terror attack on her kibbutz. Last week, we learned Weinstein's husband died while being held hostage by Hamas. His body is also in Gaza, and officials say the couple was on a morning walk at the time of the attack. Overnight, dozens more in Gaza were killed in airstrikes. Israel maintains it has no plans to stop the bombings until Hamas is destroyed. The war is taking an extensive toll on civilians, having driven now about 85% of Gaza's population from their homes. Now, the expanding ground war is forcing thousands of already displaced Palestinians to leave refugee camps. This comes as the Israeli army releases a new video claiming to show more of Hamas's extensive tunnel network. These have reportedly been uncovered near a hospital and a school in Gaza. Meanwhile, Jordan's king and Egypt's president met in Cairo to discuss the humanitarian crisis. The two leaders agreed there should be a ceasefire with a push toward developing a Palestinian state based on the 1967 borders. And Axios is reporting that Secretary of State Antony Blinken will travel to the Middle East again next week. Stops will include Qatar, Israel, the West Bank, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Our Ian Lee has more from Tel Aviv.
Israeli guns continue to pound Gaza. For over 80 days, they've turned entire neighborhoods into rubble of twisted steel and concrete. And the Palestinians who live there into the war's latest victims, many of them children. Two young girls followed their injured mother into a hospital, only later to learn that she didn't make it.
The doctors and nurses here are doing their best.
Just getting to a hospital doesn't guarantee you'll get help. Sean Casey with the World Health Organization is touring Gaza's decimated medical facilities.
There's no way to keep up with the scale of injuries and trauma and suffering that's coming through these doors.
Amid the death and destruction, new life. But it's fragile. Iman al-Masri gave birth to quadruplets on December 18th. One named after a missing grandfather. Another still too weak to leave the hospital. It's cold and drafty at this school-turned-shelter. Strikes occur very often, the mother of 7 says. My husband Ammar wakes up to cover the newborns because we're worried broken glass would fall on them. Ammar looks on, having given up food himself so that he could feed his young family. Israel accuses Hamas of using civilians like the al-Masris as human shields as the military expands its offensive into central Gaza, targeting Hamas's leadership, while creating yet another flood of humanity fleeing the fighting, searching for that ever-elusive safe place. Yesterday, Hezbollah launched its heaviest barrage of rockets into Israel's north since the war began. Israeli officials have warned their patience is wearing thin and threatened a large military response if the Lebanese militants don't stop attacking. Chanel?
Ian Lee, thank you.